Hello everyone. Today I'm doing a video on negative responses or negative reactions to homeschooling and how to deal with it. Um, if you have decided to homeschool or you're thinking about it or you've even spoken to people about it, you know that some people can, say some things that may not, sit well with you, or a lot of people are misinformed and they speak out against it and they don't really know what they're talking about. But there are ways to deal with it, and I know that homeschooling can be very lonely and it can be very isolating, mostly because it is not something that's accepted in society as the norm right now. It's becoming more popular, but it's still not considered the norm. Anyone who does something outside of the box, or most of the time when you do something that is outside of the box, it can be looked at as something weird, something abnormal. So you have to walk in that as you and deal with that as you take on this different lifestyle. Um, Basically, you will encounter negative comments. You will encounter comments that just irk you or make you or irritate you because you get the same comments all the time. And the more you do it, I have been homeschooling for almost 6 years, and the more I do it, the more I realize that it is in people's human nature to sometimes respond to things that they don't know or they don't know well, out of ignorance. So how do you respond to people, the negative comments by friends, family members, society itself, strangers even? How do you respond to that? Well, first of all, if you homeschool, you have to develop some very thick skin concerning homeschooling. If you know God has led you to this, and I know for a fact that He led me to this. It was basically, it called me. I didn't wake up one day and say, I think today I want to play around and decide, see if I can educate my kids. No, that is not what I decided to do. I am very, very dedicated, and I take education very, very serious. And I want my kids to have the best education possible that we can afford. And that's something that we decided was homeschooling. The wonderful thing about this country that we live in is that we have choices. We have choices in what we wear. We have choices in what we eat, how we wear our hair, what we drive, what kind of house we live in. We also have the choice of how we choose to educate our children. And I love that aspect, that there is no one size fits all child, a mold you can put a child in, and there is no one size fits all as far as their education is concerned. Now, we used to live in a time where that there weren't as many choices. There were only a couple things you could do, private or public. But thankfully, we live in a country and a time where we have choices in how we educate our children. You can do public, you can do private, you can do charter, you can do homeschooling, you can do online academies. You can do there are so many choices of things that we can do. And thankfully, and I'm very glad we chose homeschooling. Well, when you choose that, of course, everyone is not going to respond the way you want them to. Of course, you want people to say, "Oh, wow, you're homeschooling. Tell me more about it." People are going to look at you like you're crazy. Some people are going to think that you have totally flipped, that you're one of these parents that are going to hold your kids inside under lock and key, and they're not going to know how to read or write, or do the basic things in life to get them, to where they need to be. And it is not true. The first thing that I advise you to tell people is to read up on the subject. I mean, investigate. If you think I'm doing something so terrible and so wrong, once you look it up, research it, look at the statistics, and see how homeschool kids turn out in the future. And if they do that, They won't be talking much because there is evidence that shows that, they do very well. I'll just say that. Once they leave, and they do very well in college, they do very well in real life, as long as you're preparing them. And it starts at home anyway. Parents for kids that go to public school should be preparing them for life. And as you homeschool, you should be preparing them for life. So if you're doing a job as a parent, they're going to be okay anyway. Um, so get ready for the comments and just respond in a positive way. Don't make this a competition. Don't make this sorry about that. Don't make this a debate. Just respond in a positive way. When people come at you and say, why are you doing this? And, you're not qualified to do it. And they belong in school where they can socialize. And just calmly look at them and say, well, thank you for your concerns, but this is what works best for our family. And they keep talking. Thank you for your concerns. I see your point, but this is what works for our family. This is what is working for us. And this is what we've chosen to do. Until God tells us differently, this is what we're going to do. But we really appreciate you loving us and being concerned about, our kids' well-being. But this is what I've chosen to do. That's it. No more needs to be said. They're your children. And I know any parent is going to think out how they want to, before you act and make such a drastic change as homeschooling. I don't think there's not one parent that didn't take this into consideration and pray over it and carefully look at every aspect of it before you stepped out to do it. I hope you would do that for something as important as your kids' lives and livelihoods being at stake. So if you've done that and God has led you to that, then you have to stand your ground. You have to do it. It's not important what other people think about you. It's more important what God thinks about you and if you're doing what He's called you to do. I don't really care what people say, because when I get to heaven or I'm standing before God, I don't want to hear, why didn't you do what I told you to do, because you were listening to somebody else, or you thought that you weren't important, so you want to jump out there and keep up with society and do something else. But that didn't have to do anything with what I called you to do. Why didn't you walk in what I told you to do? That's what I'm more concerned about. I really don't care about another individual, another human being and their opinions. More so, I care about what God thinks. So you have to just develop that type of attitude. I love you. I know you're concerned, but this is what I've been called to do. And I always think it's funny that people always have an opinion about what you do, but you are not supposed to give any advice or tell them what they should be doing. No, what they're doing is so important, and what you're doing is optional, or it's not as important. So, you should just quit and go do what's normal. Um, no, don't let people trick you into following them, into being led off into the wrong path. And I love teachers, and I think that they are so important. And I think that they are undervalued, just like most stay-at-home moms and different people are not, valued enough in society. I think that teachers provide services that and give so much of themselves to teaching that, I just really think it's sickening that, athletes make so much money and teachers are doing such important jobs and they don't make anything. I love teachers, and I actually thought I was going to be one for other people's kids. That's what I always studied. That's what I went to school for. And it turned out that wasn't what God had for me to do anyway. So maybe later on, but His focus right now in my life is where I am. And I have to embrace that. It's not the most glamorous thing to do. I wear t-shirts and jogging pants or leggings every day, and I clean up behind babies and clean up my house and teach and get chalk and marker and paint, and that's my life though. And I don't dislike it, and God called me to do it, and I do it with everything I have in me because that's what He wants me to be doing right now. I don't I don't get I'm not in the spotlight. I don't get pats on the back every day, but hey, I'm working unto the Lord, and He sees me, and that's all that matters. My kids see me, that's all that matters. My husband sees me, that's all that matters. So when you start embracing that aspect of it, you're able to handle the negative people. Know who you are, love who you are, and know that what you're doing is very important. And I promise you, one day your kids are gonna come back, and they're gonna tell you what you did for them, and they're gonna recognize what you gave up for them. And it's okay. It's okay to not be what society calls uh, what you call a career oriented person that's driven and going out there. And no, you don't have to do it. Should you have skills? Yes. Should you have something to fall back on? Yes. I have all those things. But this is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And if God ever changes it up on me, I've equipped myself that I can run out there and do something else if I choose to. So that's the whole thing. Know who you are, love who you are, accept your gift and talent, and don't compare yourself to anyone else. Don't compare yourself to the career moms. Don't compare yourself to other homeschool moms. You do the best you can do and let everything else go. Respond to negative people in a positive way and drop it. Change the subject. You said what you're going to say, and that's it. Um, Give people as much information as you can. Give them websites to go to. Give them articles to read that show homeschooling and how it is. But also give them the cons, the pros and cons of it. Show them the real deal, the real stuff. Don't just make everything look like it's just wonderful and roses and happiness every day, because it's not. Show them the real aspect of life and homeschooling. And that's it. So that's my advice for handling negative people. Just don't. Just ignore them and respond to them in a happy and a cheerful and positive way. And they can either accept it, or you can say bye bye. So that's my take on it. So I don't really care. It's working for us. If I thought it wasn't, then I would make other arrangements and another decision. But for now, it is, and we love it, and I'm passionate about it. And until God shows me that I need to do otherwise, I'm going to keep doing my work unto the Lord, and that's all that matters to me. So, love it or not, you have to accept it, or you can say goodbye. That's how I feel. But anyway, that's my ramble about that. And keep watching. I'm trying to post more videos. I keep saying that, but we've gotten so busy. It's so close to the end of the year, and I'm trying to get in all this information before the end of the year standardized tests and all that good stuff. So keep watching, though, and I'm going to keep posting, and comment, like, and share. And thank you so much again for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.